something like an album press release would differ vastly. An album press release is probably going to be about 2 pages, and that's because you're going to break down who the artist has worked with, who those people have worked with. So if I've got Diplo on somebody's album, I need to let you know that Diplo has worked with so and so over the last year. And then you break down tracks as well. So you pick like the 5 top tracks that are really going to be the singles of the album, and you break them down into how they're sounding, if they're like acoustic, if they're EDM, if they're singing soulful vocals, if their vocals are loud or soft, if the song is emotional. So it becomes like a longer piece of writing if you're breaking down like music and stuff, because when you read, anybody reads album releases, you see that they actually like take apart the album song by song and talk about this one is not as good, but you know, where they triumph is at track number 6, where they sing, you know, this, and their vocals are at their best, etc., etc. So like an album press release would differ. If you're a new artist, it would differ. The skeleton, like I've given you, is say what you need to say in the first 3 lines, middle of it is expansion, bottom of it is more accolades. You can make it six paragraphs if you need to say more, but I would say just keep it to a page and a half, no more than that, and make sure you get what your messaging, your strategy that you've carved with your artist is, this is what I need to say about myself. Make sure that it's in the press release.
Yes. When is it the right time for an artist to start looking for PR? Is it when they are releasing their new single? Is it when they have a record label support?
That's a tough question.
I tried. Does it come to what they can afford?
Yes and no. If you're an independent artist, yeah. Obviously with the record label, they'll pay for it. So, you pay for it, but it would just be they claim the money back. I think that every artists, I believe, seem to rely on PR, and I guess that's understanding, to get them somewhere. And it's like, I need a PR to get me this amount of stuff, and then from this amount of stuff, I'm gonna get signed. Or it's too much of a like a moving strategy that they have of like, PR will lead to this, and it will lead to that, and it will lead to that. I think for an artist, you need to get yourself right before you then decide to use PR to get you somewhere, if that makes sense. If that is working with a PR to carve out everything that you need to do, but it can't be, for example, I have a friend who recently released a song, and they released a song and they had so much aspirations for what the song was gonna do, right? But you don't have that much of a social media following. You've got a press shot, okay, anyone can take good pictures. But you wanted the song to do something that you couldn't necessarily do because you released the song, then you wanted PR to promote the song that you just released, and it was kind of like, you needed 13 weeks, 3 months of PR to build you before you released the song, then capitalize on that. It wasn't, I've released a song, now I need as many people to listen to it as possible, so therefore I need PR. So I think that a lot of artists seem to think that PR is going to be some miracle jump on SoundCloud for them, which isn't the case, because it's more strategic than that. You are trying to build yourself as an artist, so therefore I need to figure out what my long game is. And yet, when you're an independent artist and all you've got is £600, it's hard to see that. It's hard to see the long game. It's hard to see the strategy, because you just want to make an impact on that one track. But there's so many other people making an impact on SoundCloud and on one track that as soon as that track dies and the blog stops writing about you, that's it. Then you got to do the same thing again. So I get it all the time. I have PRs, they're like, we're releasing the album in 4 weeks on SoundCloud, so we need PR. And it's like, I can't do anything in 4 weeks. I just can't. Not what you want anyway. I might be able to get you like 5 pieces of coverage, but you have to be happy with those 5 pieces of coverage. They might be more strategic because you're like an East London type of band, so therefore something like Vice would work for you. But it's not about volume. It's not about quantity. It's about quality. Right. So a lot of the time, if you're an artist, and I sing as well, so I get it. You just want to be everywhere, because that's the only thing that's going to make you feel like, oh yeah, my song's out there. But I think you just have to be. You have to basically get yourself in a position that where you can be PR'd. It's like all the things need to be aligned, really. I'm not saying you have to have radio in place, you have to have TV in place, but as an artist, your messaging needs to be set. You need to have your images. You need to have a plan of, I'm going to do 13 weeks of trying to build myself a profile before I release my song. Not, I've got 2 weeks to release a song, now I want PR, and now I want a PR to pull out rainbows and unicorns in 2 weeks and get me on, you know, like the front cover of like the 406 or Fader or, you know, things like that. With the, when you're in a record label, I'll finish the rest of your question. When you're in a record label setting, the label puts all those things into place. The label gives you a digital marketing guy. They give you a radio guy. They give you a TV guy. They give you that. So they formulate the structure of who you are before they release you. Somebody like Jessie J was in A&R for like a year and 2 years before they released her. And her album was done. Like because Jessie was signed to a label and the label collapsed. She had a finished album. Island bought the album, so she could have been released at any time, but they were like, no, we need to develop you, we need to get everything aligned. And she was just waiting around for 2 years before they released her, because the label wanted to get it right. They wanted to get the messaging, they wanted to get the right radio, they wanted to get the right TV, the right PR, all that just set before it's like, hey, here's Jessie, we want some information about this. Yep, we've got it. We've got press shots. Yep, we've got it. We've got this. Yep, we've got it. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to bringing yourself out there and then scrambling for the information. So that's what I think in a record label setting, the record label understands that all those things need to work together. An independent artist, not necessarily. So I guess you just have to play it by ear and advise them depending on the scenario or the situation, if that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.